Hey, good day, everybody. We're here again on our 12 weeks of flow. And today we're going to be talking about mindset, probably one of the most important foundational, fundamental parts of being in the flow. And, we're calling it a mindset makeover. We're going to talk about three different types of mindset. We're going to talk about some mindset health. And mindset, as it's defined in the dictionary, is the established set of attitudes held by someone. Notice it doesn't say positive or negative or good or bad. And that's one of the things that we want to make sure that we're talking about today, is that we all have a mindset. The question is, what is yours? Is it healthy? Is it helpful? Or is it not? Do you have a tendency to hang out in a place where you're maybe constantly negative or constantly fearful or constantly worrying or constantly thinking you're not enough, or the people around you are bad, or that your circumstances are unfair, whatever it is? Or do you look at things in a more positive manner with a positive attitude, coming from a place of abundance rather than scarcity and so forth? All of these things are mindset. And of course, most of us are in and out of different states of mindset all the time. And so one of the things we want to talk about today is how is it that we can spend more time in a positive mindset, where we are using this super powerful thing that we have, which is our brain, to help us and help others around us rather than sabotage us. So Kevin is going to talk about three kinds of mindsets that are common. And then we're going to talk about some mindset health as well.
So we're going to talk about three mindsets. These are not the only mindsets, but these are three mindsets that kind of help us understand what people sort of gravitate for. We've got the fixed mindset, the growth mindset, and the benefit mindset, and we're going to talk through each one of these. So Rick, if you could go to the next.
Sorry, I'm good. There's some people are not on the.
So the fixed mindset, these are, next slide, please, are everyday experts who really seek perfection to avoid failure. Now a fixed mindset is sort of looking at what you have and working with that. So you really focus on what you know, and you reproduce those actions and those things. And the idea is you take the abilities that you know that you have and you keep perfecting those. So it's the idea of you're fixed. You know what you are, and that's what you keep working with. The next one is the growth mindset. And these are people that are more learners. They're people that really want to keep developing what they do. They know that they can expand themselves and keep going. And they focus how they can constantly improve themselves and do better. And then they also believe that their strength can be developed with effort, reaching higher levels, keep growing, stretching themselves. So this is a more desired mindset because you're constantly changing and allowing yourself to grow. The next one, which is not often heard about, usually you hear about fix and growth. The next one is called benefit. And these people are sort of leaders. And they really seek to do good and do things well. So they really focus on the purpose of what their why is. And we've talked about this many times, about your why. What is it that really makes you move? And what is it that makes you be who you are? The why. And that's so important. And a benefit mindset really looks deep inside of what it is that you do. And it believes that by developing the strengths and how you can contribute to society is really what is going to make you better. I just want to bring up a quick story because we're in the middle of the Olympics right now. And I saw an amazing, if anybody is watching skating, Nathan Chen is a US skater who hopefully is going to win gold this year. And he was talking about, he just came out of a competition called Skate America, and he just totally messed up. And he's known as the best in the world. And he said, all I needed to do was get back to my mindset of I can do this. Not that I didn't do it, or not that I failed, but I can do this. And it totally changed everything. Sorry for those that that aren't falling skating, but he just did the men's short program and got the highest score ever, ever. And it's one of those things to him. I heard an interview with him. He contributed everything to his mindset. He doesn't dwell on what happened in the past. It's my mindset is going to take me where I need to go. So I thought that that was kind of a nice thing to think about, that we can always adjust what we're doing, how we're working, and how we position our mindset to be purposeful and to be who we need to be.
Yeah, it's such a great story, and to segue into kind of mindset health. I think one of the things that is most exciting to know about mindset is that it can be changed at any time. That you may get stuck, or maybe you have a tendency to get stuck. It's entirely possible that you've never even paid attention to your mindset. I had a student, I don't know, several months ago, and we were talking about mindset and, the kind of the voice in your head. And she said, wait a minute, I'm not the only one that has a voice in my head. And so that, we're all at different places of understanding mindset and how it works and how it doesn't work and so forth. And so today we want to talk about some tactics about mindset health and things that you can add into your daily activities. And you'll notice that this is going to correlate highly with your daily navigator. So when we started Flow Academy and when we started these classes with you, we started with the daily navigator, and some of the stuff that was on there may have been like, why do Rick and Kevin do affirmations or meditation or whatever on a regular basis? And so hopefully if you're in a place where this is a newer concept for you, this is going to make more sense, but you'll understand why it's so important to do things kind of on a daily basis. So one of the things is affirmations. And I love teaching live classes, and I'll say, how many of you do affirmations? And I have people raise their hands. I can't see everybody on this class, so I don't know. But I want you to just mentally think, do I do it or not do it? For those of you raising your hand, thank you, Sandy. So Sandy does affirmations, and that's great. And if you all raised your hands, that's great. It looks like Carol's raising her hand. That's awesome. But really, we're all doing affirmations all the time, right? This is the thing that to keep in mind. Affirmations are just things that you say to yourself over and over again, not necessarily positive or negative, because it works both ways. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're not enough, or that you're never going to do it, or that that you're happy with, or that you can only do 1 transaction a month, or you can only do 6 transactions a year, or you can only do 20 transactions a year, or whatever it is, this is what your brain will work towards. One of the things in the Ninja book it talks about is your brain cannot take a joke. And so it's important to tell ourselves what we want, where we want to exist. And one of the things that we'll send out to you later is just, I have 2 different lists of affirmations that I read to myself. And I'm willing to send those to you. They're a little bit personal. There's a couple of things on there that I'm like, I don't necessarily want everybody to know that, but I want you guys to see like what I say to myself every single day when I'm talking about my affirmations. And one of the things that you'll notice on there is that they're set in the present tense and first person. So I'm not necessarily, I'm not saying Rick, but I this, I that. I sell 4 houses per month. I do the work required to continue to be a top real estate broker, and so forth. So it's present tense, and it is talking about it's me, right? And that they're positive. And I'm using those to combat what I probably have, and any number of negative affirmations. Some of them I'm aware of, and others are just running as a tape in my subconscious. And so we want to kind of combat those with these positive affirmations.
One thing I would add to that, Rick, is you said, I will sell, I do. Everything is not just present, but not I want to. It's as though it already happened. So right. It's really important to put those things in a tense of it's already happening, because your mind will realize that this is the reality. Not I want to, or I would like to, or I think this. It's I am doing this, or this has happened.
Exactly. Like one of the things that they talk about a ninja, he talks about enjoying the state of living in a certain weight, right? That he wanted to lose some weight. And instead of talking about wanting to lose weight, he talks about what it's like to live in that. I enjoy, weighing 170 pounds or whatever he said his thing was. So it's kind of it's in that place. So you create your own you create your own affirmations. And then you write them down, and they can be, you can be changing them. One of the things that mine says, and I've switched my list back and forth, is that I will live to 100 years old and then die peacefully in my sleep. That's one of my affirmations. It seems maybe it's a little bit morbid, but I'm just programming my brain. Hey, we're going out to 100. I'm about halfway through, and then when I'm done, I'm just going to die in my sleep. It's going to be great. So I'm even setting up how I'm going to die. All right. And by the way, if I do die sooner than that, then you can just say it's all bullshit. All right. So the voice in your head. Now, this one I think is really important. And we've for those of you who are doing the 4 agreements, this all ties together with that. And you could say the voices in your head too, depending on how you want to look at it. But for me, and I think for most, there's a constant conversation going on in my head all day long, right? Some of it I'm aware of, some of it I'm not aware of. Some of it I literally do not have access to, even if I pay attention. But there's a whole layer of conversations that I'm having with myself that I have access to if I take the time to pay attention to what I'm saying. It is super important to pay attention to what I'm saying, engage it. Are these the conversations I want to be having with myself or not? And if not, I want to be purposeful about undoing those conversations through affirmations, but also just being mindful about how I'm talking to myself. If I have beliefs that I'm ready to let go of, that I've had for a long time, there's a way to do that. And we're going to talk about that in the homework as well. So Henry Ford, I think it's attributed to him, the quote that says something like, whether you're looking for bad or looking for good, you will find it. Or if you're looking to win or looking to fail, no, that's not it. Anyway, it's something about the idea is whatever you're looking for, you're going to see. So we've all have the friends that are constantly in fear, they're negative, they're sure everything's going to go wrong. And what happens? That's exactly what happens. That's kind of the way, that's where they live. Or even they're in a positive experience and they still see just the negative versus just the positive. And so it's important when we go back to the voices in our head that we're being purposeful about, hey, I'm going to look for what's right. I'm going to see it in the grocery store. I'm going to see it in my friends. If I'm looking for what's right, I'm going to see it. And it's a great way to live. If I'm looking for what's wrong, I'm going to see that too. And I prefer just to be purposeful about looking for, looking for what's right. Okay. Meditation. Some of you are, in fact, I think Sarah is on, if she's on the call, I think Sarah teaches meditation. So maybe we can get Sarah to do a meditation class for us sometime. But meditation is so critically important. And I didn't start doing it until I was in my mid-30s. I really felt like I wasn't capable of meditating. I thought I have too much monkey brain. I can't sit still. I remember being in a meditation class where I actually, it was an accident that I ended up in. I didn't know it was a meditation class. I thought it was something else. And then they said, okay, we're going to meditate for 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's terrible. How do I get out of here? Well, I can't get out of here. So we all just sat there quietly and they did a little bell, ding. And then we're supposed to sit there. And then they were going to ding the bell again at 10 minutes. And I sat there for what felt like 30 or 40 minutes. And I thought, oh my God, they forgot the bell. We're all just stuck here in this crazy meditation. And it turns out, of course, it hadn't even been 10 minutes. And then when it was 10 minutes, they did the bell. So I struggled with learning how to do meditation. But over the last, 15, 20 years almost, I've really learned to enjoy the practice of meditation. And that word practice is so important. We talked about it yesterday in the 4 agreements conversation. all of the stuff that we're talking about, it is a practice. It's not about being the greatest meditator, although Sarah probably is pretty good. It's not about having the greatest mindset all the time. It's not about achieving some goal. It's a practice and being purposeful, and meditation can be super helpful in that place. Journaling. This is another one that, I'm not a huge fan of taking the time to take a pen out and write down the thoughts in my head. But I'll tell you something, when I take the time to journal and I'm not overly critical about whatever I'm writing, I don't worry about spelling, I don't worry about the content, I don't worry about anything. I just let my brain write stuff down that needs to be written. Sometimes I'll go back and read it and sometimes I won't, but I am always surprised at what comes out. And it doesn't seem to necessarily directly correlate with a thought that I'm able to have on my own. Like there's something about the pen to paper that makes a huge difference.
You make a good point, Rick, because it's the idea with our navigator as well. It would be easy to type it because that's what a lot of us are used to doing, but it's that thing of taking your pen and putting it to paper that translate it to your mind as well. So it's really important to have that pen to paper, pencil to paper action.
Awesome. And so I just saw the chat that Sarah said that she's going back to the meditating, that she's going to do some kind of class for us. So that's awesome. Let's see here. There we go. So exercise. Okay, this is another one. I feel like this is the road of all the things that Rick didn't want to do and then eventually did, and he totally loves it. So I apologize. I don't want to make this all about me, but I'm telling you, this is all from personal experience. I was definitely not a exercise person. I enjoyed doing sports, but I'm just competitive like that. But it wasn't until only a few years ago that I really started exercising on a regular basis. I became a runner, which also there's no way I was ever going to be a runner, and I became a runner. But in the process of running, my mental health got better. I was more calm as a direct result. I had less anxiety. I had less fear as a result of having spent a little bit of time getting my heart rate up at least 20 or 30 minutes a day. Sorry, not 20, 30 minutes every single day, but for me, I'm like 5 days a week. I think that, doctors recommend 3 to 4, at least 20 to 30 minutes, but there's something that happens when you're exercising. There's a physical component that's going on that I have all these like great epiphanies while I'm running. Nicole and Kevin are sick of, they hear from me all the time. Oh, I was running today and I thought of this. I don't know how many of them are actually good ideas, but they seem like good ideas because I'm just getting that kind of great feeling of being out there. Don't get me wrong. I actually don't really like running itself. I like what running does for me. I like the experience of what I was just describing, kind of the mental health around it. And I'm willing to do the things that require like running, which is the physical part of it, for the benefit of the exercise, believe it or not. So we definitely encourage that. And that's going to have everything to do with your mindset. Okay. Abundance versus scarcity. This is another super powerful idea that we've, not all of us maybe, but a lot of people, we're put in a place when we're kids that there is a limit, that there's only so much to go around, and that scarcity is something to be concerned about rather than, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. And it was so great to change my mind around abundance versus scarcity and to just kind of live in that place. And it's amazing when you decide you're going to live in abundance, that you live in abundance. And so what that looks like is not making decisions based on fear. And I'm not talking about being reckless, but not constantly be in fear of, I don't have enough, there isn't going to be enough. And live in a place of like, no, I'm going to tap into that energy, that source, that there is enough for everybody to go around. I even just recently, most of I snuck away to Cabo this last week, and it kind of was a trip that came up really kind of out of the blue. And I just come back from Colombia, and my old brain was like, you can't go to Cabo. You just came back from Columbus. Columbia. I mean, you've got to, you've got to work. You got to work for a while before you go have fun again. And it was a real scarcity idea. And I finally decided, oh, it didn't take me long. Hey, no, I don't have anything to worry about. I've got a great team in place to handle my business, led by Nicole, and all my other, things were happening. Everything was in place for me to go and enjoy myself and not feel guilty and not feel like I'm not doing the right things. And that's a place of living in abundance versus living in scarcity. But I'll tell you something else about abundance. It's not necessarily the outside. So, for example, a couple years ago, for the first time in many, many years, I had a lull where I didn't sell any houses for 3 months. 3 months like that. I can't even remember the last time that's happened. It was just a circumstantial thing. Had been doing all the things. And I got a little bit afraid at the beginning of that period because I could see the pipeline just seemed to be really slow. I don't know what was happening. And I remember making a conscious decision that I'm not going to let my external circumstances dictate my internal happiness. That one way or the other, I'm going to continue doing the actions that I've always done, and it's going to be fine. And it may be that my bank account gets a little bit lower and I may have to make some tough decisions, but one way or the other, I'm going to be fine. And I'm going to live in a state of abundance. And I did that. And all of my fears came true. I didn't sell any houses for 3 months. I had to even, I had to move money around out of accounts that I didn't want to touch. And I had to do all these things. But sooner or later, everything was fine. But the whole time, my external state was, I live in abundance. I'm happy. I'm not living in fear. I'm doing all the actions I'm supposed to be doing. And that's living in abundance versus scarcity, even though the circumstances didn't necessarily dictate that. Okay. So homework wise, for the next 24 hours, we want you to be extra purposeful and pay attention to the voices in your head. What are they saying? Is it positive or negative? And then after you've paid attention to it, were you surprised by your thoughts? And in addition to that, if you don't already do all of the things that we talked about, which is meditation, exercise, and so on and so forth, pick one of those things to add to your daily activities, and seek out somebody that can, if you have an expert in your life, or find an expert that can do that. So like Sarah's an expert in meditation. So maybe you reach out to Sarah and go, hey, how do I learn how to meditate? Or whatever it is. So that is the class on mindset. What are the roadblocks going to be? Kevin, what comes to your mind when it comes to roadblocks?
Well, I think that a lot of us have our minds already set in a specific path, on a specific path. And I think when you really think about, here's how I want to be, making that adjustment really is quite easy. And so I think understanding what kind of a mindset you are currently in, fixed, growth, or benefit, I think that making adjustments and using the practices that you talked about, Rick, I think will help you adjust the way that you approach things. And my favorite thing is coming from a place of abundance. It just changes everything. When you just think I can do anything, and you get your head wrapped around that and allow yourself to really operate in that method, it can make all the difference in the world.